Good evening. Welcome to a very brief meeting of the Bennington Select Board. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being with us. We have not very much on the agenda tonight. My name is Donald Campbell. I'm the chair of the board. I guess I'd ask us to please introduce ourselves, starting with you, Stuart, if you would.
Stuart Hurd, I'm the town manager.
Good evening, Jean Connor.
Good evening, Bruce Lee Clark.
Good evening, Jim Carroll.
Good evening, Chad Gordon.
Nancy Lively, secretary.
All by yourself, way out in the end.
Who's the next one?
You're welcome to join us if
No,
you
that's
like.
okay, I'm good.
Yeah, good choice,
Really
Riley.
the other way around.
All right, first item of business on our, and the main item of business on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of December 2nd and 9th, which have been circulated. We're going to pass on that tonight, I think. And the warrants, which have been circulated also, and you all have had a chance to read them and give your comments to Stuart. So I guess I would look for a motion to move forward on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Discussion?
I'm going to abstain on the 9th because I wasn't present.
Okay. So Chad's going to abstain on the 9th.
Okay.
Let's see, is that going to give us quorum still? Yep, we still got 4. So any comments on the minutes of either December 2nd or December 9th, or the warrants as circulated? No? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so except for that one exemption, we are off and running. And so tonight we have one more agenda before we adjourn, and that is citizens' comment. So the first person on our list is, let's see, before we bring you up, I just would like to remind everyone that citizens' comment is a time that we welcome your comments and your thoughts. We'd ask you to keep your comments under 3 minutes, please, and refrain from making any personal attacks to individuals. The first person on this list is Kevin Hoyt. Come on up.
Good evening, board. Thank you. I spoke with a Vermont business today called Vermont Protective Coatings Incorporated. They're out of Brandon, Vermont. So I had a few questions here. This company answered the bid for the invitation to bid that was listed in the Bennington banner to blast and spray paint the Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody knows where the Brooklyn Bridge is. So apparently we've hired this company. Sue has agreed to a $181,000 contract to have that job done. And again, the select board, we know, approved $35,000 of that last month. So again, I spoke with VPC today and learned a couple, I think, startling things that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention, maybe get some answers. So speaking with them, I found out, first of all, that we have no contract for this. They were pulled off the job, apparently, by RJ Jolly after approximately 18% completion. This is a Vermont-based business. They've been in business for over 40 years. They've never been pulled off any other job in history. So my questions, again, I'd like Mr. Campbell, maybe you can ask Stuart for me. But again, if VPC is based in Brandon and our bid was listed in the Bennington banner, they obviously couldn't have seen it. So I'm wondering, how did they know to even bid? Was it RJ Jolly himself that contacted them to ask them to bid? Why do we have a $181,000 job with no contract? I think that should be obvious to the board. That's kind of odd to me, to say the very least. What was the $35,000 we paid him for? And if we paid $35,000, what do we still owe, right? Is the job done? I'm not sure. And why, again, were they pulled off the job? That seems kind of weird to me. And finally, when is that job going to be complete? It seems like we start a lot of projects here in Bennington, but we never finish any of them. And we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and most of it's offline. There's no explanation, so I'd like the board to maybe follow up with Stu and see if you can answer a few of those questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Stuart, would you like to respond to that tonight? Would you like to respond at our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Well, because I'm still gathering information as to what occurred, yes, they were removed from the job and mutually agreed, but I'll follow up with my next manager's report.
Okay, great. And let Mr. Hoyt know what you come up with.
I certainly will.
Okay, the next on our agenda is I'm sorry, can't read your name. Cindy,
Proudman.
thank you. Please come on up.
Do I go there or there?
Please, this mic, please, if you would.
Hi, my name is Cindy Krautheim, and I work at GBICS, which is the Greater Bennington Interfaith Community Services. The first thing I want you to know is I do not speak for GBICS. I am speaking strictly for a group of people who are appalled at our homeless situation in Bennington. I'm here to ask that the selectmen do whatever it takes to provide a warming shelter in Bennington. The Coalition for the Homeless, the Rights and Democracy Group, PAVE, Brock, and countless other organizations have attempted to get a warming shelter in Bennington for years. 6 counties in Vermont have warming shelters. Bennington and Rutland are 2 of the 7 who do not. We do not provide a roof and a bed for our homeless. We have a great opportunity to meet this tragedy. Today, the Supreme Court told Boise, Idaho, that it cannot ticket its homeless because unless they provide a shelter to offer those homeless. The housing crisis is not coming. It's here, right here in Bennington. On these nights that are not predicted to go below 20 degrees, people's sons and daughters are sleeping on the ground. I don't care why these people are homeless. The bottom line is that they are people. People who can die any day this winter. Do we want to have it on our Bennington roster that we lost people to freezing to death the way the couple did in Greenfield? We ask that the Bennington Select Board work with all those individuals and groups who want to fill the need for a warming shelter.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Sue Andrews.
Hi, I'm Sue Andrews. I don't live in Bennington, but I'm currently building a house in North Bennington and will be adding to the tax rolls. I also am employed at GBICS, an organization that serves people who live in and around poverty. We bought the building at 121 Depot Street almost 3 years ago, and when we bought it, we didn't really understand that it came with a resident population of people who live under the adjacent bridge and in the park across the street. We have gotten to know these folks really well over the 2.5 years that we've been in the building. They are in our building every day for tea and coffee, soup, bathroom, and just to get warm. They are human beings. They are human beings who are really suffering, and they are breaking our hearts when we think about them being outside on these cold, cold nights. The state of Vermont currently has an adverse weather conditions policy, which provides for housing if the temperature drops below 20 degrees. So it has to be 19 or lower. People can be put up in local motels. If the temperature is 32 and there is precipitation, the state will also put people out. There's an awful lot of degrees between there and, say, 50 degrees Fahrenheit where hypothermia starts to happen to people. We're just appalled, or I'm just appalled, that we are letting this happen. I am working hard as a citizen, as a resident of the local community, to see if we can build a groundswell to get folks off the streets, not next year with some program, but this winter, this week, when the cold weather exemption is not in place. Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you very much for your concern for
Can
the
we
community.
make any comments?
So, you go ahead, Jim, make a comment.
Just a question for Stu. Is there any I think we talked about this several years ago. St. Peter's had expressed not a desire but an interest in perhaps housing some of these people in their church in the cafeteria area. Recall for me what the restrictions are and why those people cannot be put in there.
I have no idea, Jim.
Okay. I thought there was some ordinance restriction that disallowed them to be, for those quarters to be used to put people up. I wonder if we can look into that to see if perhaps some of the churches and local organizations can use those facilities, especially on these really cold nights.
Sure.
Well, Sue, you and I spoke at length today about this subject, and I appreciated your call very much. We do have, as I mentioned, we do have a policy about this, and so, you know, if you want to look into that, the first step is to go to the Planning Commission and work through the process. We have a process for figuring out what needs to be done, and I'm sure town staff would be willing to talk to you about it. So, thank you very much for that.
Can I interject
So,
just one thing? This is an emergency situation. When we had Irene, we rose to the occasion and resolved what needed to be done for the emergency. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is an emergency. People are going to die.
well, so that's great, and I appreciate that sentiment, and I'm with you. I think it really is important, and it is an emergency, and the first step is to work with town staff on this and to try to figure out a solution. So, thank you for that, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of citizens' comment. We have other business. Is there anything from you tonight, Jean?
No.
No?
No.
Bruce? Jim?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good man. Chad, anything from you? No. Okay, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. We have no need for a executive session tonight.
I'll make that motion. No
All
executive
right.
session.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.